un gran creativo español que es Educou, y fue a hablar con él y todas fueron facilidades por su parte, ¿no? Encima me recomendó traer a Kirkland, que le va a acompañar durante la conferencia, y bueno, la verdad es que yo creo que vamos a disfrutar mucho y vamos a aprender mucho de ella. Venga, pues Edu Hall, adelante.
Gracias. Hola. Gracias por venir. Mandan narices que vengo a España y tengo que hacer la presentación en inglés. Lo digo de entrada porque vamos a hacer la presentación de los dos en inglés para que sepa que no le estoy echando la culpa de nada. Y eso, vamos a contarles un poco cómo pensamos las historias que contamos a través del radio, cómo un nuevo medio implica una nueva forma de pensar, una nueva forma de concebir cómo contamos historias. Y nada más que eso, queremos... primero vamos a contar nuestra historia, que ya vais a ver de entrada a la que podemos ponernos ética a todo. Y tenemos una historia curiosa. Porque... ahí vamos. Sabes que es un uso de esto, ¿no? Vamos a hablar de dominación, vamos a hablar de Juego de Tronos. Y como algunos de vosotros sabéis, yo soy de un pequeño pueblo de cerca de Barcelona que se llama Parets. I have to speak English, of course. So if you look for the song Small Town from Lurid, that's the town that we're talking about. And he's from Sydney, not really next door. So he's from the other side of the world, he's from Westeros. Yeah. And it's funny how being nomads of communication, we both ended up in the same town, not only the same town, but we were working in the same street. I was at Weatherman Kennedy, and he was at 180, but we never met in Amsterdam. Despite that, it was part of one of his experiences called Paper Cuts. We only met in Prague, where we were shooting one of my first VR projects, and it was quite an epic one, where we were working with the director of photography of art, for instance. And now we're in the same company, but not in the same place either. He's working in Los Angeles, like a good director, close to Hollywood. And I'm working on the other side of the States, in New York, close to the world of Magnet. So that's why we want to thank you even more for bringing us here, because it gives us the opportunity to share a stage in this beautiful city of Bilbao. Thank you. And that's our company. And despite the fact that we just seen our history told us Game of Thrones, it has nothing to do with this, despite the dragons. And more, it has to do with this. What's this? These are the maps of the Middle Ages. And that define the world that people knew, and where there was some uncharted territories that people hadn't been discovered yet. They would put dragons there. So that's what Hidden Dragon stands for. In Spanish, it would be Aquí yacen dragones. So it's the idea of the things to discover. We don't want to be defined by a medium. We want to be defined by an ambition. And the ambition, like defined by one of my favorite writers, Kurt Vonnegut, is to be close to the edge without going beyond. Because when you're in the edge, you can see things that you can see from the center. And this ambition, it's something that is not just, that it can be applied to multiple disciplines. It helped us to jump higher. It helped us to change the history of music 5 times we have to. It helped us to add time in photography like David Cogley did. It helped us to reflect the world all at once. I would say that Las Meninas is one of the first 3D or 360 paintings out there. And if you see similarities between the actor, it's not a coincidence. I've been trying really hard. But in literature, when you think of Stendhal, it's talking about writing as just using a mirror and writing what it reflects. Sometimes it's the map on the street, sometimes it's the sky. But it can go as deep as what Jonathan Safran did with The Street of Crocodiles, where he removed words from existing books to create another book. So the thing is that the ambition of going beyond what's easy, what's attainable, is what we have to fight. This is the easy thing. 90% of everything is shit, not just advertising. 90% of the things are the easy things that nobody cares about. And just they go the easy path. That's definitely not the path that we've taken. At Kiwi Dragons, we are a collective of artists, technicians, thinkers, and innovators that want to create the world's best immersive stories. That's the ambition. That doesn't mean that we always achieve it, but we try, and we try hard, right? And this very humble statement that is from my boss is that this team has multiple accolades across branding, entertainment, and artistic arenas, creating landmark pop culture moments and record-breaking value. So it's very big and ambitious. We are still very small, and I would say we're very young. The community is very young, and we've achieved quite a lot. But that's the moment when you're at risk, when you feel like you're already there. There's a long way ahead. So that's what we are trying to do with every project. And I have to say that we have quite an impressive roster of directors, and one of them is yours truly, Mr. Howard. And the way that we want to structure this presentation is, first I want to give you a bit of an overview, a bit of theory, things that we've learned, and then Hal is going to go deep into some of the projects that he's directed. And I think that that's quite unique. I think that everything with VR, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of people talking, there's not a lot of people doing. And we want to share with you our experience on that for a while. But our audience is active. This is an image from Sleep No More, immersive theater experience in New York. The people that surround this guy are the audience, and he's the actor. The audience is everywhere. The audience can interrogate everything. So it's very important to keep that in mind when we are creating virtual reality. And I will put an example of something that has nothing to do with virtual reality, but has to do with film. One of the directors that has the reputation of being a control freak, that he would take care of everything, was Stanley Kubrick. And even Stanley Kubrick, when he was defining the language of 2001, he realized that there was no art director in Hollywood that could really reflect his vision. So what he did was turn into NASA and talk to Harry Lang, who was the designer of NASA. He's the guy that's responsible for all the visions, the beautiful visions of 2001. So all these designs are not just beautiful, they could be plausible. They were reflecting something that in the future could happen. His drawings inspire everything that was in the movie. But at some point, Stanley Kubrick took over once again. If you look at this image, what's shocking is that the furniture is furniture from the 60s. And that we have product placement. We have AT&T, we have Howard Johnson's. It's one of the movies that started with their product placement, but not to sell ads, but to give something for the audience to hold on to. You need some sense of familiarity in order to make the point that you're trying to make. You have to always take into consideration what the audience knows and what the audience expects and build on that. Because otherwise you're alienating your audience from the get-go. And it's something that's not very pleasant, even less on a video. So that's what we took in mind when we launched the second season of Mr. Robot with a VR experience in San Diego's Comic-Con. That was built around the audience. This show, I don't know if it's in Spain, but it's a very interesting show that has to do with hacking and split personality. It's very intriguing.
My background eventually started to move into music videos and interactive film, and then VR turned up, and I kind of jumped on board immediately, and it was a medium that definitely suited the kinds of thinking that I jumped into. And there's a lot of things that I've since discovered, and a lot of the things that we deal with every day in Kiwi Dragons, and that is like narrative versus spectacle. So I'm going to show you take you through a couple of the films that I've made, from like a music video to a short form narrative to a sponsored content piece. And so as soon as someone puts the headset on, because they're not used to it, and we're a very early audience, they put it on and then they're like, whoa, this is amazing! And they start to kind of look around, and if you're trying to tell a story, you need them to hear exactly what the characters are saying for you to understand what's happening in the next scene. So we've all like watched movies next to our friends, and our friends keep talking to us over here, and like we're missing key story bits. Well, that's kind of like what VR, one of the challenges that we have. Another thing is protagonist versus spectator.